if we go into the product categories, you can see that there is a subcategory ID and it runs from 1 to 37. If I go into the AdventureWorks shared dataset, which is powering the product report, you can see that there isn't a subcontractor ID added. So we need to add it. There it is, product subcategory ID. And if I now run this, you'll see that there are numbers from 1 to 37, including a fair number of nulls, ones which are in no particular category. So you can now see in the fields we have this product subcategory ID added. So if I now go into the product report, you'll see in the dataset that the fields don't include the new one. So what's wrong? What we have to do is add this field to the dataset. So we double click on it, go to fields, add a new query field, and we call that the product subcategory ID. So click OK, and there it is now added. So we can now add it if we wished, and I'm just going to do so temporarily, as a new column. Notice that I didn't actually have to insert a column, I just dragged it in. So now if you have a look at the report, you'll see an awful lot of blanks for the product subcategory ID, but especially when the price is 0, but when the price becomes non-zero, there you can see some subcategories. So you can see the subcategory is largely zero for those, largely null for those items that were released first in 2002, but then later on the designers of the database have been filling in that subcategory ID. So we now have that. I'm just going to change this visibility to always shown, so I don't have to keep expanding it, but I'll hide it later. So save this, go into the product categories, click preview, click cleaners, and you can see all of the items appear, not just those which relate to cleaners. Which product ID is it that relates to cleaners? Well, let's just drag in the subcategory ID so we know in numbers terms what we're talking about. So 29. So we only want to see those which are 29 in here. So what we want to do is to pass that through as a parameter. We want to say product subcontractor is 29. So if we go back into the text box properties and into action, I'm clicking on the wrong item, it should be the subcontractor name, that's where so subcategory name. So go into action, we can use a parameter to run the product report. And the parameter we're going to put, well, the value is going to be the product subcategory ID, and I'm just going to say param product sub ID. So it's going to pass to the product report that parameter. So now we need to add a parameter to this product report. So I click on the parameters, add parameter, and we're going to call this param. I can't remember exactly what I called it. This is why you need to do perhaps copy and paste. You need to make sure these are identical. So actually I'm going to just call this param product sub ID. It tells me that that's a parameter. So let's insert this parameter, call it that. The prompt, so that if we ever get asked the question, is what is the product subcategory ID? It is a number, it's an integer, and I'm going to just leave the rest as is. So click OK. And if I run this report, So this is just the product report. I can say, what's the product subcontractor ID? 29. And I click view report and I get everything. The reason is that 29 doesn't go anywhere. It's not linked to anything. So we need to make one more link. We've got to alter the data set so that it is also looking for this parameter. So if I go into the query designer, go down to the product subcategory, I'm asking it now to filter on this new parameter. And you can see that in the where clause as well. So if I click OK, you'll see in the parameters tab that we've got this new parameter. Now, it doesn't know what data type it is, so I'll tell it it's an integer. Always specify the data type, it's quite useful. So you can see lots of other things here, I'm not going to use them at the moment. Go into product report. Need to add that as a parameter as well. So that is the product subcategory ID. So now, when I run it, it'll ask what's the product subcategory ID, view report, and we just have product subcategory ID 29. So if I change that to 28, we just have the ones relating to 28. So if I save that, close, go into the product categories, preview that, go into cleaners, which is this one, click on it. So this is product ID, subcategory ID 29. That's what we see. Go back, click on bottles and cages 28, and that's what I see. So this is how you can connect multiple reports along. So just to clarify, and to just introduce some terminology, when I am able to expand and contract like that, that's drilling down. When I click on an item like lights and get to another report, that's drill through. So we have drill down actions and drill through reports. And this second report, of course, might also have actions as well. So I might be able to click on this, for instance, and get another report. So you can nest report on report on report as long as the end user knows where they're going and knows the reason for it. It can be a highly effective tool.